Now we're going to have a look at cayenne pepper. This is my travelling pack. I take cayenne pepper everywhere with me. Cayenne pepper is a remarkable herb. Cayenne pepper is not chili. Chili comes from the chili family, and cayenne pepper comes from the capsicum family. Chili is an irritant to the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. Black pepper is an irritant to the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. But cayenne pepper will heal a stomach ulcer. Cayenne pepper moves blood. It's one of the best circulatory stimulants there is. It's not a nervous system stimulant like your caffeines or your tobacco. It's a blood stimulant. And when you consider that the life of the flesh is in the blood, cayenne pepper is a wonderful healer. And you can put cayenne pepper with any other herb and it'll intensify its action. So let's begin by looking at how you can use cayenne pepper internally. By the way, how would you take it? Well, a medicinal dose may be 1/4 teaspoon in a little bit of water and throw it down. Won't it burn? Well, I prefer to call it tingle. It might feel like it's burning, but it will never burn. I have a book at home by Jethro Kloss called Back to Eden. He devotes half a page to every herb except for cayenne pepper. 10 pages he devotes to cayenne pepper. It's a remarkable herb, and I think I mentioned this the other night. You can get an e-book. It's called Curing with Cayenne by Sam Beiser, and you can download that book. The whole book is on cayenne pepper. It's a remarkable herb. So let's have a look at internally. Internally, it'll heal a stomach ulcer, because what the cayenne does, it causes a constriction of any open blood vessels. So just for a moment, let's look at externally. If you have a cut, you pour cayenne pepper into it and it'll stop the bleeding. Crash in the kitchen. Found out later the blender had dropped and she had bare feet as Fijians do. And you know how thick blenders are? 3 bits of glass had gone on the top of her foot and she had 3 1 centimetre long cuts on the top of her feet. And the staff were saying, Barbara, quick. So I went outside and just like most Fijians, she's laughing. And I looked at her foot and I could see little globules of fat. How deep is that? That's very deep. I said, don't worry about it, we'll fix it. So I went and got the cayenne pepper and I sprinkled cayenne pepper in it. Anyway, she laughed the louder, as Fijians do. Most others would have screamed. Doesn't it hurt? Well, it's already hurting. So it just hurts a little bit more. And only hurts momentarily. It's like when you put cayenne pepper in your mouth, the tingle dies down. And then we bound it up. Well, I saw her the next day and she said, I can't believe this. She said, I would have stitched that. She said, if I'd been near a hospital, she said, I would have stitched that. But she said, this has drawn it together. She said, all the swelling's gone down. She said, it's unbelievable. So you see, her experiences at Misty, maybe that one, was very helpful on her knowing how to treat. And that's what cayenne will do. My son William, when he was about 10, he was clearing away the banana, the cut banana. You know how bananas, you'll get the old ones? And the elder son was cutting them with a machete. And William thought Peter had finished that area, and he came in just as the knife came down and cut across the fingers. In fact, the other son was looking through the grass for the fingers, but it was all right, they were still there. Anyway, I was in the meeting at a time. I looked up and saw Peter saying, Mum, and I said to my daughter, go and see what's wrong with Pete. And then they were all gone. Well, I finished the meeting and went up to the house half an hour later, and there's William with cayenne pepper all over. The kids had put the cayenne pepper on it. And he was sitting there with a frozen juice ice block. That had made him happy. Do you know that it should have been stitched probably? Well, I wouldn't have stitched it, but I'd say most people would have thought it should have been stitched, but it healed very nicely. Now, this little finger was bent for a while, so what did he cut through? A tendon. Now, when my brother-in-law saw that, he was not very happy because he felt I should have had it stitched. But I thought, well, it's his left hand, and it's the third finger, so what does it matter if it's a bit bent? Do you know how you sort of got to... And what would happen if he went to hospital? They would have insisted on tetanus. They would have insisted on, how are they going to find that time? I thought, no, it'll be right. So what I did was every time we were sitting in church or sitting in a car, I'd just rub it. I'd just rub it. And I found within a few weeks it was working again. See, hey, you've got to weigh up. What is this really important? And as I said, if I broke my arm and my bones were sticking out, I'd be very thankful for a doctor to perform an operation to get my arm working again. But there are lots of little tiny bits and pieces that the natural remedies will fix. So any cut, put the cayenne pepper on it. Yes, it will hurt, but it's already hurting, and remember, it'll settle down, and then bind it up, because it'll constrict the blood vessels and cause them to shut. Now, internally, if there's a bleeding ulcer and you take cayenne pepper, won't it hurt? It'll give a little bit of a tingle, but it will never hurt, meaning it will never cause an ulcer. In the book Jethro Kloss, there's a doctor that says it's impossible to cause a lesion with cayenne pepper. Another doctor said, you cannot abuse cayenne pepper. It's impossible to abuse it. It's actually a very safe herb. It will never harm. It might feel like it sometimes, but it will never harm. You can also use it internally if someone has a heart attack. Now, I had read about this, but I experienced it once, and it was when we had our health retreat in Melbourne. I got a call from one of the staff. A lady's had a heart attack in the middle of a cooking class. So I ran down. I was there in 3 minutes. The lady's lying on the ground. Her face is white. There's a guy holding a pulse. He said, the pulse is gone? Almost. I said, quick, cayenne pepper. I got a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, quickly put it in her mouth. She was half conscious. We're able to give her a little bit of water to drink. Within 2 minutes, the guy holding the pulse said the pulse is strong. All the colour came back into her cheeks, and she sat up and said, what happened? Just amazing. We sold out of cayenne pepper that program. Everyone, what happened to that lady? What happened to that lady is that cayenne pepper, when it got into the blood vessels, it thinned the blood. This is the best blood thinner. No need to warfarin, for warfarin, I mean rat poison. No need for aspirin. And by the way, it has been shown today that aspirin causes brain bleeds. This is very, very safe with no side effects. Now, if someone is on warfarin or aspirin and they're a little concerned, I would suggest start taking 1/4 teaspoon 3 times a day. And most people, if they're on warfarin, they have to be tested, every few weeks or every month. And the doctor will say, your blood's getting so thin, we can reduce your medication. Because he will see it if you're taking cayenne pepper. It's very safe. I was going to say many doctors, probably 1% of doctors, there are a few that are using natural medicines with amazing results. See, there's no side effect with this. You could take a bucket of that a day and you would still not bleed to death. Because, remember herbs? Psalm 104 verse 14, God made herbs for the service of man. They work with the body.